One of the things that this means for us in Hillsborough County and HART in particular is that now we're going to have vehicles that are not going to be using diesel fuel. What that means to us is we are going to decrease our dependency on diesel, increase our use of natural gas, which is developed here in the U.S. by U.S. pipelines. We are going to have buses that are made here in the U.S. thanks to Gillig, our partner who sells us our buses. It's a great occasion for us because whenever you have a CNG bus out there, it reduces the wear and tear on our regular buses. In fact, we're going to add 28 new CNG vans to replace all the diesel-powered ones, and we're going to put 22 new CNG buses in service. Now, what that means is we're going to be saving about $16,000 per year per vehicle for every vehicle that we take off of diesel and onto CNG. That's about a $2 million savings over 9 years, $2.5 million, excuse me. That's a huge savings to the taxpayers here in Hillsborough County. It's a huge benefit to the kids that live here, the children that have to breathe our air. It is a huge benefit to those elderly that have to use our services. So CNG is not just a green-only event. It is not only about the environmentalists. It really is about the taxpayers and the people that live in this county and this community. And for every bus, it's going to reduce the carbon dioxide by about 30%. That's big savings in terms of the quality of air, and it's also big savings in terms of the money that we're going to expend. I would be remiss to not mention that this is one of the projects that our former CEO, Philip HART, was in charge of. There were lots of different projects that he put together. This was one of his crowning achievements. We, I know, on our board appreciated the work that Philip Hale put together here by not only this project, but putting together a tremendous staff that is continuing his good work. I think that I speak for all of the members of the board by saying that we are happy that Philip is in retirement, but only because he's happy in retirement. There were many times that some issues that had come up that made it difficult to run this agency. He made the seas calm. He made the sailing as smooth as possible, and we thank him again, even though he's not in attendance.
We're here to celebrate one of many firsts for the agency. Last year, we had 15 million passenger trips. Shatters all our records. If you've been following the news for us, last year we also introduced Metro Rapid. This is the first BRT service in the state of Florida. We're extremely excited about that. Had over 50,000 people rode on this service last year. Clearly very popular. Folks are looking for these services. We've also been the first agency to go live with One Bus Away. That is a software. It's on iPhone, also on the Android store. Go and find it. Tells you when the bus is going to be there. We're the first agency to go with this. We're also one of the first agencies, not just in Florida or the U.S., one of the first in the world to go with Google Live. That's a big accomplishment. Google Live tells you, again, exactly when that bus is going to show up. We also have a FIRST, our regional work group, for better fare technology. Just a bunch of firsts, and going to CNG, first one in Florida, is a great accomplishment for us.
When we walked into this responsibility about 3 years ago, we looked at how much we spent on energy as a total collective dollar value in Florida. And it's about $70 billion we spend on all energy services and products in Florida. That's about the same size of what we spend as a state government. 2/3 of that typically goes to petroleum-based products. That's a hefty portion of our taxpayer dollars going to one particular product. And we all know very well that a lot of that product is coming from overseas. We have something like $435 billion of imported oil still today coming in, even with new shale oil and other domestic reserves being found. Natural gas gives us an opportunity to sort of cut into that trade deficit, to recognize and realize some national security, which certainly is not lost on this community. We're very excited about the future, not only in natural gas, but in energy generally. We feel like Florida is well placed to experience a tremendous resurgence in all the key areas of our economy, not just in agriculture, which is one of the pillars of our economy, not just in tourism, but in the construction area. And the construction area entails being able to tap into cheap reliable, stable sources of energy. Natural gas is one of those, and HART has now set a pattern that is a real challenge for all of us to continue to emulate across the state. I want to thank all of you for allowing me to be here today, and I apologize again on behalf of the Commissioner that he couldn't be here to carry this message of optimism and congratulations personally to you. But please, don't be strangers. Dial up the phone, come knock on our door in the Holland Building in Tallahassee and tell us how we can do it better and how we can make this natural gas boom a reality in your neck of the woods and throughout the state.
What I'd like to say is we are very excited to be part of this project. And I think I have to start again by saying this wouldn't be such a great project if it wasn't for the HART staff. And I know that that's been said before, but I could not get up here and say that, not say that, and let everybody know that this project is so much easier when you have people to work with and customers to work with like HART. And this was a very large project for us. This project, our role, there's a lot of roles that take place in putting together a fill station like this, and this is a very big deal. We have magical tables and chairs going on, but this is a very big project for us. The natural gas business has been rapidly growing in our area. So what we're seeing is there's a lot of different roles that have to be played in this from a lot of different companies and a lot of different organizations to make everything behind us happen and those buses run. Our part was to bring the natural gas infrastructure to this location. For us, our planning started well over a year ago, doing our engineering, design. Our construction phase took us 5 months. We ran a line 3 miles to parallel our existing infrastructure to be able to handle this load, because it is a significant load for us that we're grateful for. And the other thing that has been said, this is being noticed, you know, HART taking the lead, as we've heard, in the state of Florida, and we are already know that this is going to be happening in other locations and that HART has taken the lead on that. But our main goal is to provide reliable, environmental friendly natural gas to our customers around the state. And now HART, with their new CNG station that we're so happy to be here today for, will be able to provide reliable, environmental friendly, economical natural gas transportations to the community of Hillsborough County. And we're so glad to be a part of this and part of the great things y'all are doing in the community. Thank you.
You know, I guess my topic today is to give a little bit of a global perspective on natural gas as a vehicle fuel. When you look around the world, natural gas for vehicle use has literally exploded. Probably not the best term to use, but it has exploded. And there's, you know, I think right at this point, there's probably over 20 million natural gas vehicles around the world. And the largest populations of them are in places like Pakistan, Iran, Brazil, and throughout Europe. And then you take that 20 million and then you look what's here in the United States, we're at 120,000. Now, that 120,000 number has pretty much been the same for about, well, I've been with Clean Energy for 13 years, and it's been that number for 13 years. But what has changed is that we are now focused more on heavy-duty vehicles, buses, trash trucks, construction vehicles, medium-duty trucks that operate for utilities. So all that this transition has taken a natural gas vehicle use. Though we haven't seen a lot of difference in numbers of vehicles, we've seen the utilization of natural gas go through the roof, and that's really what it's all about. A few years ago, up in the Northeast, where I'm from, there was a lot of concern about supplies of natural gas in the United States, and everybody was freaked out that the price of natural gas was just going to be ridiculous. Well, in 2009, we started to see developments in the shale basins around the United States and in Canada, and that changed the whole dynamic on natural gas supply throughout the entire United States. So in places like Florida, which at one point was constrained on gas supply, we now have new supplies of natural gas coming into Florida with new pipelines. Up in the Northeast, which during the winter is kind of strangled by the pipeline network up there, we have new pipelines going in New York City that have actually caused the price of natural gas to be below the rest of the United States. and typically it traded at about a 30% premium. So that's you're really starting to see from a national and global perspective. The development of natural gas, not only as a vehicle fuel, but as a fuel in general, has changed the overall economic advantages for using that fuel. Some of the things that are also coming along pretty well within the natural gas vehicle industry is the utilization of renewable natural gas. You say renewable natural gas, well, what is that? Well, what we at Clean Energy are doing is we're actually harnessing natural gas that comes out of landfills. Right now we have 3 facilities across the country. We're taking the gas off these landfills, which otherwise would go up into the atmosphere and cause great greenhouse gas emissions, and taking that and cleaning it up, putting it into the pipeline and delivering it to our stations across the country to supply a renewable form of natural gas that is 90% cleaner than traditional natural gas. So I would say that the future for natural gas and futures of natural gas vehicles is very bright across the country, but specifically here in Florida. And really, I would be amiss in not also recognizing a couple people involved with this project that really on my team that if it wasn't for them, it wouldn't have come together. And really, looking at clean energy specifically, Howard Harris, my regional manager for Florida, has been involved with this project from the very beginning, and really was a tremendous help in working with the HART team on making this successful. Also, our facilities modification group, a new group that we formed within Clean Energy to modify garage facilities so that you can maintain natural gas vehicles, and also our engineering construction team who worked on designing and managing the construction of this project. And then finally, NCI, Dominic Nicosia and his brother Vincent and their whole team, did a tremendous job in pulling this off, and doing so in a tremendous quick pace. So once again, I want to thank HART for your leadership, and Kathy, I look forward to continue working with you. And this is an exciting first step for HART as they transition to natural gas, but it's also a tremendous first step for Florida's transit industry as this is really going to start the momentum throughout the state. So thank you very much.
I'm pleased to welcome you to the CNG facility's grand opening. I would like to take a minute to acknowledge and thank our dignitaries for attending this forward-thinking event, so thank you. As the governmental agency responsible for meeting the public transportation needs of our county's citizens, we understand our obligation in supporting the development of a sustainable community. How do we fulfill that obligation at HART? First, through economic sustainability. HART's network of services connecting our patrons to where they live, work, and play, moving over 30,000 average riders daily, and providing for future development opportunities along HART routes in future transit-oriented development. Second, through social sustainability, enabling residents to live beyond the constraints of their neighborhoods. And thirdly, sustainability of the environment. It is this last sustainability component that we as an agency are here to showcase today. Perfect. Not yet, that's coming. All right. In April 2013, HART embarked on a journey that is moving us toward becoming a more environmentally sustainable agency. HART began work to develop an environmental sustainability program following the U.S. Federal Transit Administration's selection of HART for its nationwide environmental and sustainability management system training program that HART became a participant in August of 2013. The FTA-sponsored program is coordinated by Virginia Tech Center for Organizational and Technological Advancement in Roanoke, Virginia, which has provided in-depth training to a core group of HART personnel over the past year. As a signatory of the FTA program, HART is committed to playing an active role by incorporating environmental sustainability as an integral part of our daily decision-making, operational practices, and long-term strategic objectives to protect and improve the environment of the community in which we serve. HART's environmental and sustainability management system will provide HART the opportunity to be one of only 9 transit agencies out of 520 nationwide agencies, and the only transit agency in the state of Florida that will be ISO 14001 certified, adhering to a rigorous international standard for environmental control and management. The HART Board of Directors codified our commitment to the environmental sustainability management system by adopting HART's environmental policy in November of 2013. The policy upholds our ongoing commitment to be a leading public steward in sustainable environmental practices. Early progress in the support of this policy include the renovation of our 21st Avenue Administration and Operations facility, right over the tanks, which I can proudly announce was just LEED certified in the silver category. The renovation of our bus washing facility, which utilizes recycled water and environmentally acceptable chemicals. And now, as we witness the opening of this facility, the transition from diesel fuel to compressed natural gas. These efforts have not only provided the added benefit of utility cost savings and energy independence from diesel fuel, but have encouraged and steered us toward transitioning into a more environmentally sustainable transit agency. Given the importance of effective environmental sustainability practices, policies and procedures and supporting processes are being developed and put in place, mapping the ISO 14001 standard that will enable us to monitor our environmental indicators and their effect on the environment. Through the environmental sustainability management system process, we have established our first set of objectives and targets for the program as an organization. Our first target, by 2018, through our transition to compressed natural gas, we plan on reducing carbon emissions by 4,285 metric tons. So what is that equivalent to? I will tell you. The emissions generated by 1,128 passenger vehicles, the emissions generated by an average passenger vehicle driven 12.7 million miles per year, and 737 homes electrical use for 1 year. A high target, but we feel it's very, very achievable. The second target in our environmental sustainability management program, over the next 5 years, we want to reduce overall water consumption at all HART facilities by 2%, and over the next 5 years, reduce electricity consumption agency-wide by 5%, taking into account the increased energy usage by converting to compressed natural gas with the generators that you see behind me.
It's great to be here with you. A lot of good things happening in the state, and obviously with HART here. I wanted to talk a little bit about the transit. A lot of times we get accused of to say, well, DOT is all about roads and bridges, and transit is not a big area. Transit is a big area. We fund a lot of programs. We do a lot of things. It doesn't get noticed, but it is an important aspect of the transportation system, multimodal transportation system, and where state of Florida is going to be. Our vision for transit in Florida is broad, reflecting the diversity of our urban areas and acknowledging that no one solution fits every area. In the last 10 years, Florida's ridership has grown from 207 million trips per year to over 270 million, an increase of 30%. In fact, we grew over 10% between 2010 and our last full year data of 2012. And I think if you look at the stats from various national organizations, I think 2013 is also going to be a record year, the ride of transit ridership. Last year, transit ridership in Florida grew by 3.7%, again, exceeding our goal for more than twice the rate of population growth. As you know, state of Florida has continued to grow. By the end of this year, we'll be the third biggest state in the country, passing New York. Record tourism. People want to come here to have fun, have the big events, move here, live here, work. And so one of the goals the Transportation Commission and Department has is to grow transit twice the rate twice of the population growth, so at least we can keep pace with it so that we don't have to continue to build bigger and bigger highways. For the third straight year, we've also seen a decrease in the statewide average of transit operating expense per passenger trip, demonstrated the increased efficiency of services that you all are providing here in the state of Florida, which is very key. You hear that from everybody. I'm sure your board expects that, do more with less, and sometimes you're kind of like, hey, I've squeezed enough juice out of this lemon, it's dry. But, our customers, people who use it, expect our services to be provided in a more efficient way. While we're diversifying our overall funding, the department continues to invest in transit as we seek to strengthen all modes. We know that there are a number of state-funded transit programs which our local agencies depend on, and that starts with the Public Transit Block Grant Program. I'm pleased to note that even in these difficult financial times, and that's been past, we're in good times again, the department is able to not only maintain but to grow this important program. The current program is now at $89 million and will reach about $100 million over the next 5 years. And we continue to provide matching funds to help your New Start programs, both rail and BRT, and to qualify for competitive funding for Federal Transit Administration. There are a number of good projects being developed here in the state, and our state transit program helps ensure that Florida receives the greatest share of nationwide transit funding relative to contributions we make to Federal Highway Trust Fund and the Mass Transit account. As you know, Florida is a donor state. We spend $1 up, and we get about, I think it's been a good under MAP 21, we're getting about 94 cents back. In transit, I think it's probably upwards of 80 cents back. So we need to continue to work with our congressional leaders so we get our fair share of money back. In fact, we're the third biggest state, soon to be third biggest state, so it's important that we do that. Since 2010, FDOT has actively participated in and funded research and data collection in the field of alternative fuels and advanced technology for transit agencies across the state. I just came from a panel discussion at the IFA event they were talking about resource efficiency. It was kind of a very abstract topic, I was like, but the issue was, again, utilizing our resource to the maximum, and a lot of discussion about climate change and temperature change, sea level rise. And one of the points, they talked about Indo-U.S. cooperation. I'm sure some of you real transit geeks know this, but in India, a lot of the buses have been converted to CNG, and it's not been in the last 2 years. It's been over the last 20 years. If you go to the capital of India, which is Delhi, the bus system there completely runs on CNG. And in U.S., one of the most advanced countries in the world, technologically, financial capital, we've been slow to adapt to that change. And I think you're seeing that more and more happening with our transit agencies. Through the ongoing partnership with the National Center for Transit Research at your own USF Center for Urban Transportation Research, our transit office has been collecting operating acquisition costs for transit vehicles and providing technical support to public transportation agencies. We currently have 5 bus procurement contracts with CNG options. These cover buses of various lengths and capacity ranging from 4 passengers to 22 passengers. In fact, HART used one of these contracts to order 28 small buses with CNG. Our Certified Transit Technician program offers alternative fuels training in a 5-day alternative fuel module. It covers getting familiar with the technology, fueling, and infrastructure for all alternative fuels, including CNG. The department plans on adding additional CNG training modules starting late 2014 that will include diagnosis, troubleshooting, and facility upkeep. All this investment that we're making, we need to make sure that we have your workforce's skill in this new technology so they can continue to run it as efficiently as it's possible. We also currently provide technical assistance and monitor performance of all alternative fuels in use in Florida through Qatar here at the University of South Florida. The alternative fuel program continues to provide technical assistance to agencies who are currently using it or who may be considering using this in future. I want to conclude by saying that we recognize for our transportation system, I brag about it all the time, that we will have one of the best transportation infrastructure system, but we can continue to get better. Yeah, and it is going to have to be a multimodal system. A lot of talk in Tampa Bay, right? Pinellas talking about a light rail. Tampa's talking about what to do with that. We're talking about express bus services. The express bus services that we have partnered with Miami-Dade Transit and Broward County Transit, the ridership is through the roof. We can't keep enough buses running to meet the demand because there's a predictability. People who are going to downtown Miami can take the express bus in Broward, get on it, and have the predictability go to downtown Miami in express lanes. And what you're going to be seeing over the next 5 years in Tampa Bay is a system of those express lanes so that we can include the future of express buses service in it, bus rapid transit. Those buses can go where they need to, where the customers are, rather than a train or a rail, because train can only go where the rail is, and typically our experience suggests it's sometimes in the wrong place. Transit is an important component in our commitment to provide Floridians and visitors a safe and reliable transportation system. At FDOT, we'll continue to seek solutions to meet your transit challenges of today and prepare for those for tomorrow. And I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you today to discuss this important role, and I commend you for being the leader in new technology and trying to push the envelope, because that's innovation will continue to enable us to deliver alternative mode in a most cost-effective manner, more value-added services, so our residents, tourists can have choices. And then the choices can be much more than just taking an automobile to go from point A to point B.